Well, congratulations on completing orientation, getting all your truck stuff ready, and now you're ready to take your first load. I'm Tim, the truck's Daisy, and we're hauling paws. We transport RVs all over this beautiful country of ours, and they pay us for it. It's amazing. Before I get into this video, I just want to say I don't know everything about everything. I've never claimed to. These are mostly just my opinions, and you're welcome to have different opinions than me. It doesn't piss me off at all, but don't get pissed off if I have a different opinion from you. So now you've completed orientation and you're ready to go on your first run. Now the company's going to come to you and they're going to say, where do you want to go? They might ask you, do you want a short run or a long run? And you might be seeing those dollar signs and say, I want a long run. But you need pumped brakes. There's some things that you have to think about. And these are things that new people just kind of gloss over sometimes. The first thing is pretty standard. Is your truck ready to go on a 2,000 or a 3,000 mile trip? You might think that it's all A-OK, it passed DOT, all that's great, but your truck might have other plans. I've dealt with several drivers that have had just weird failures. Throw a belt or develop some weird leak. So a long run on a truck that you have not taken across the country might not be your best choice. Now what I suggest is taking a short run or a shorter run, something that you can pick up in the morning and deliver that same day, but a little ways out. So you're not going to fully make it all the way back to Goshen on that first day. Now, there's a couple of reasons that I suggest doing that. One, you don't have to deal with any weirdness. The weirdness that I'm talking about is permits. If you go southwest, you're going to deal with New Mexico, Arizona, and possibly Nevada permits. On your first run, you don't want to be dealing with permits. Going northwest, you're going to deal with Wyoming and Idaho. Permits for those states. You're just learning the whole process. Getting your paperwork, printing it, finding your camper, getting it hooked up, delivering it, doing the paperwork on that end, submitting your payment paperwork, however your company does it. So take a shorter run that you don't have any weird stuff in there. You might still end up with having to do tolls, and that will add to the complicated process of getting everything turned in. But if you keep it a little shorter, you reduce those things. The next thing is your sleeping arrangements. You take a shorter run, you deliver it, you come almost back to Goshen, and now you have to find a place to sleep. Finding your first place to sleep when you've never done this before is a lot easier when you're unloaded. You can get into a truck stop, find a parking spot, figure out how to best set up your sleeping arrangements, figure out how to make yourself the most comfortable you can be, and not have to deal with finding a spot for a 40-foot camper. It also gives you time to get in, find out how the showers work in the truck stops, figure out how you're going to do food, and all that. Your first shorter run will get you comfortable with your GPS. Maybe you bought a new one, but it will get you comfortable with navigating to a dealer. But the number one thing you got to watch out for when you take that first load is look at the weather first. This video comes about because a new guy signed on with a different company. They gave him a couple of choices of where he wanted to go, and he picked Nevada. This entire week, Nevada is going to be seeing upwards of 60 mile an hour wind, and he could get himself in a bit of trouble. Not to mention just having to park and have all the downtime on your first run. You just don't want that. So take a look at the weather, see what the weather's like, where those runs that they're offering you are going. Several of these companies will give the new people the runs that nobody else is wanting to take. And that's, I think, what happened to this guy. They gave him Sparks, Nevada, and he's going to have to figure out how to do a Wyoming permit and a Nevada permit. And the Nevada permit you have to have before you get there. So you can't just get to the state and buy a permit. Plus, he's just going into the devil's den of weather. So really take a look at that. I didn't think about that on my first run. I just said I wanted one going toward my house, which was fine. It was going north to Michigan, and I didn't end up having any problems. But it was the summertime. If it would have been winter, I could have run into some bad winter storm going that direction. Taking a shorter run will also get you set up on your fuel card, figuring out how to operate it, getting through the fuel lanes and things like that. Don't just take whatever run they give you. You could end up like this guy, and he's going to be sitting out there in that weather. There's no way to get through there without having to sit. He's going to run into bad wind, possibly some snow as he goes through Wyoming, because there's a bad winter storm coming through there right now. And he just doesn't need that stress on his first run. I got to break in here for an update on that driver going to Sparks, Nevada. He did not make it to Sparks, Nevada. He made it to Sidney, Nebraska, where he experienced a turbo failure. So, as I was saying, you might think that your truck's ready, but the truck doesn't agree. Taking a short load with a lot of weight on it will put some stress on it, kind of find the weak spots when you're still close to home. Now he has to either get it repaired out in Nebraska, or he has to find a way to get it home in order to get it repaired closer to home. So, stuff happens out here on the road. And now back to the rest of the program. So be careful where you pick your first run to. So that's it. I just wanted to offer a couple of tips about doing your first run. And like I said, congratulations on getting your first run. Now, after you get a couple of shorter runs under your belt, then you can start doing those long runs and start really stacking up the cash. So if you got a couple of neat tips out of this video, do me a favor, click the like button down there. If you're new here, consider subscribing. I'm Tim, and as always, have safe travels, and I hope to see you on the road.